Well, welcome everybody to my channel. And I just want to state that God has pressed up on me to do a series about certain women in the Bible. And I don't know why I always like to do an acronym. And the name of the series would be called WITS. Okay, WITS. Women in the Scriptures. And so it was not too long ago that I did um, a subject concerning Eve. Now we are going to be dealing with Job's wife. Now, when it comes to Job's wife, the scriptures does not pretty much, it does not give us too much detail about her. But we do know that she was Job's wife. Have you just ever been anybody's wife? You didn't have her name. The Bible, it didn't give her no name. It just said it's Job's wife. Have you ever just been Bishop's wife? Have you ever just been, oh, that's so and so's wife? As if, you were just walking in his shadow and you have no identity of your own. You are just Job's wife. And for some people, that's not a bad thing. It just means that she was very submissive to her husband, from what we can understand, because she's known as Job's wife. And a wife is someone who reverence her husband. She respects him. She obeys, ladies. I know you don't like to hear that word, but it's not that she just obeys as if she's a child. She safely trusts in her husband. She believes in his leadership. And for us to be able to understand about Job's wife, we have to understand the type of man Job was. He was considered God's servant. So I'm going to read a couple of verses in the scripture pertaining to Job, which we would be coming from Job 2. And I'm going to start at verse 7. So please follow along with me. In Job 2, verse 7, it says, "Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. And he took a potsherd to scrape himself while he was sitting among the ashes. Then his wife said to him, 'Do you still hold fast your integrity? Curse God and die.'" Okay? She was over it. She was just done. They took so many losses, lost children, lost finances, lost servants. Their lifestyle was completely flipped upside down. And the type of man that Job is, when you go on to verse 10, he says to her, okay, a man of authority, a God's man, God's servant, okay? When you talk about a servant, you're speaking of someone who is devoted to the master. And Job was truly devoted to God, tireless. It didn't matter, what comes or what goes. He was unweary of his God. And so he goes on to tell her that you speak as one of the foolish women speaks. Shall we indeed accept good from God and not accept adversity? In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. And pretty much in this small piece of verse, when it comes to talking about Job's wife, we hear no more from her. So I just want to begin to talk about Job's wife. What happened to her? What happened to her from that point? Where did she go? Many people wonder. The question has been asked, did they stay together? Did she leave him? Have you ever had somebody try to speculate in your marriage and they asking questions? Girl, what's going on in their marriage? Did she leave that fool? That, this God-loving man, in her heart, she told her husband to curse God and die. So in her heart, she was already dead on the inside. She gave up. But he said, you sound like a foolish woman. You're not the same woman that I met. That's not the wife I married. Okay. What we can accept God, we can accept the good, but we can't accept the adversity that comes along with serving our God. Oh, it's when it was good, it's all good. Everything is peaches and cream. You riding or die. But now that it's getting down to the nitty gritty, now that it's hard, now that we've taken a loss, we've lost, and it's hard. Hardships. This wasn't an easy loss. He lost everything. This was their rock bottom. Okay. They lost children. They lost the financial security. Okay. And this was hard. And now here it comes. The man, she see the man that she loved and cared for and trusted in his leadership and trusted his God. And now here it is. She's seeing him scraping the sores off. Just in pain and agony, and she couldn't take it no more. She said, curse God and die. Do you still trust in this God? Well, I gotta tell you, God allowed Satan to test Job in a way that no other man can be tested. When it talks about Job, God really recommended him and spoke highly of him. And he asked Satan as he was coming along, looking for something to get into, looking for somebody to just destroy, to turn against God. God had recommended Job. He said, have you considered my servant? What do you do when God recommends you to an evil person? He's safely trusting you. He knows, your devotion to him. He knows that you're gonna come out on the other side victorious. And so it said that he didn't sin, that Job did not sin against God with his lips. So it states, when we look at the criteria of Job, it says that Job was there was none like him on the earth. He was a very unique man. He says that he was perfect and upright man. Fears God, and he eschews evil. He hates evil, and so he was a stand-up type of guy, one to look up on and just admire in a way, and some probably envied him. I mean, he had it going on. And so in order for you to be with a certain type of man like Job, it takes a unique man like Job. It takes a certain kind of woman to deal with a certain kind of man. He's not your ordinary man. It says, God says that there was none like him on the earth. Okay. One of a kind. And so, certain women, we want a certain powerful man of esteem and a highly respected and dignity. But in a man of God, we say we want a man of God. But when you get a man of God, a real man of God, do you know what you are asking for? Do you really want a man of God? Are you really ready to take on this responsibility and ride this thing out with a real man of God? Because Job was in it for real. You may have some men that say, oh yeah, I'm a servant of God no matter what. Can't nobody turn me away. My faith is solid. Until it comes when Satan wreaks havoc in your life, then you begin to talk another story. Things change. And so the Bible goes on to say, she asked him, do you hold on to this integrity? In spite of God moving against him without cause. It was nothing that Job had done. And it was nothing. It seems as if the blessing had been reversed. It was a reverse blessing. But how many of you know that if God can reverse it, a blessing, he can reverse it right back? And we're going to understand at the end of this story that he gets it back double. Now, I just want to focus on Job's wife. It's so hard to try to get an understanding, because it seems as if they kept their marriage personal and private. And how many that's important? When you have a certain type of man, that trust in God to where he walks by faith and not by sight. It doesn't matter what he say. He trusts his God wholeheartedly. And then what seems right to a believer may not seem right to non-believers. It would be like, man, I would have left a long time ago. How you put up with that? That's crazy. God wouldn't want you to go through that. How do you know? There was something on the inside of Job that showed his authenticity. His walk was for real. How many of you know that song? Because my worship is for real. He truly was sold out. There was nothing. He so many of us, we want the glory and the richness and all the good things that comes, and the good benefits that come along with walking and serving God and all of his promises. But then as soon as times get tough, you want to disrespect God and curse him to his face. I dare you. And Job says, what? You sound like, you sound foolish. You really need to get your act together. And I believe in my heart that we heard nothing else from her. She trusted his integrity. She knew that, I've been following this man, and he's right. There was a moment where he had to check her and help her understand. Listen, when you got with me, when I told you this is as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, I meant that. You said for better or worse, and this is our worst right now. And the last thing I need you to do is come to me and tell me, talk to me, and disrespect The God that has been good to us. The reason why you was living how you was living. The reason why we had all these service and these maids. The reason why we got this big house and this property. The reason why we were fruitful and we blessed, and he blessed your womb, and we was able to just be able to be a power couple. It's because of him. So I don't want to hear what you got to say about my God. Okay? Because it's supposed to be your God too. In other words. Okay? So, whatever God's will, that is his will. God let Satan test Job, but he told him, you cannot take his life. So here it is. We see everything has been jeopardized. Okay? We see that it's no more eating lobster and steak, and you know what I'm saying? It's no more of that. This is. It seems like we have just become a mockery now. Oh, so now you're worried about what people saying. But Job was not worried about that. You know, God allowed Satan to test him because he knew his servant. The Bible says that he knew us in our mother's womb. God has very good plans for us in store. And so he don't want to come to do evil. He don't have plans of evil. Satan came and that's what he do. We're living in a world where there's good and there's bad. And just because you love the Lord, and just because you are devoted to him, and just because, we speak his word, no weapon formed against me shall be able to prosper, that does not mean God will put you to the test, okay, to prove Satan a liar. Because he said the reason why, and his focal point was more on Job. We already knew where the wife's heart was at. How is your heart? Check your heart. You got to get to the point that no matter what comes, we end this together. But we will not blame God. We will not blame a God who has showed us so much grace and so much mercy. And I know it's easier said than done, because when you're in that storm, it seems like God is turned away from you. He's not real. Oh, he was real when it was good, though. It was real when, when God favored you and the other people envied you because you had such a strong man of faith, and he was truly blessed going in and blessed coming out, blessed in the city, blessed in the field, blessed in the country, your children, y'all just being fruitful and multiplying. The soil is good over there. Y'all are reaping the harvest 100-fold times. But this enemy that we have, that's called Satan, he don't like it. But he's limited. You hold on and you keep your faith, this will be a testimony for you. And so you have to understand that to whom much is given, much is required. And there will be some tests, and there will be, so we have to learn from Job, because at this point it was too much for his wife to bear. She couldn't take it no more, and she sinned with her lips, and she said that, and she was enraged and hurt and just just devastated. And but she had a man that had to help her understand that we are in this thing for the long haul, and so we have to trust God wholeheartedly. The same God who giveth, and the same God that can take away. And if he take away, guess what? He can give it back, and he can give it back to you double. He can give it back more than what you ever thought. You thought this was the end of the world. You couldn't see the silver lining. You know, all you just you was just in that dark place. I believe that, you know, when you lose children, and my heart goes out to mothers who and parents who have lost the children. Some of us, we're okay with the income being lost, but when you lose something that you love so much, it's hard to accept it. But what we got to understand, that everything belongs to the God, the earth, and the people that dwell in it. He is our creator. And so, you know, just cherish the moments that you had with that person, but don't die. Don't give up. Don't quit. You know, I pray that God will breathe life back into you. You know, he is a resurrector of life. I pray that, you know, that your soul will be revived. You know, it was just unbearable for her. And we say that, you know, God won't put no more on you than you can bear. But at this point, and she was at the breaking point. It was too much for her. But she had a husband. She didn't know what she signed up for. You know, when she decided to trust and follow her husband, you know, dedicate her life to her marriage and to serving God when it was good. But at this point, it wasn't good. It was just bitter for her. You know, all that sweetness, it became a bittersweet moment. And so we cannot forget. We got to remember the Lord. Remember that God is able to restore, okay? And it says, so listen, Job was up. Job was the man. Everything was up. You got the song, when it's up, then it's stuck. When it's up, then it's up and stuck. Well, what happens when your entire world, when it's stuck and you got a hater pulling down and it just collapses? Everything just fall apart. But I tell you one thing, that God can mend and restore broken pieces. So the real thing is, we have to look at Job as the example. He was a true believer. Okay? And I don't know what happened, if they separated, if she left. But you know, we didn't hear no more words from her. Nothing else was said. You know, lost the wealth, lost the children, lost her health. And she just went into she vanished. We didn't hear anything else from Job. But if we go to Job 42, okay, verses 12 and 13, after all that chaos, after all that drama, after all the heartache and the pain, we see that Job's friends was there to mourn with him and to comfort him. What was her friends? It doesn't talk about, you know, if she had anybody. Everything was centered and focused on Job. Oh, let me go check on my brother Job. Oh, let me. Did she have anyone to sit with her and comfort her? Did she have, or was it all about her husband? Was they her friends? At the time, were they her friends only because of Job's success? And you got to ask yourself these questions. Women, when you with a man of high status, you know, are people really your friends? Or are you just Job's wife? You don't have an identity. Maybe she didn't even know that she just loved being his wife. And it was cool until things went left. Okay? And so we understand that in these verses that God spoke to Job in the whirlwind, and there were some things that needed to be exposed about Job as well, with him feeling as if he wanted to put God on trial. Okay, and at the end of the day, and his wife was nowhere to be found. You know, but it says that at the end of all that, Job had to put his hand over his mouth because he said so much. He thought he knew so much. You know, he had a mind knowledge, but he did not have a heart knowledge. After his encounter with God, he received a revelation. He knew God was real. He knew it wasn't something. He wasn't serving him now because of grandparents or because of what he heard. It's because he know God for himself to be a deliverer, a healer. And when you're at your lowest point, you can be at the top, and you can just all of a sudden in a blink of an eye, things can just crumble. He knew that the same God that he served on yesterday is the same God today and forevermore. And God restored back to him double. You know, he ended up having 10 more children. Okay, and it says that these children, he had daughters that was the most beautiful daughters, the fairest of all women on the earth. God restored his joy. Those ashes, he would turn your ashes, okay? He would give you beauty for your ashes. I know we tend to harbor and hold on to things of the old, but God had something greater in store for him, and he made it out on the other side. And I'm hoping that that she came back and they was able, she understood. She just had to meditate and understand that, you know, he's right. When my husband, if I can trust him then and know that he's a faithful man, and I could trust him, and he wouldn't lead us astray and wouldn't lead us wrong, this is the time I need to stick with him. I'm hoping and praying that, you know, this was her that bore these other children from him again, these other 10 children. So God restored to him double. And the first child, after all the disaster, her name was called Jemima. Okay? Jemima. And Jemima means dove. Okay? So God was restoring back the innocence of it, the purity, you know, just cleansing and ridding him of all that hurt, that pain, that bitterness, restoring his health back, you know, restoring the wealth back, restoring everything that he had lost. And the second child was named Kizia. Names have so much meaning, and I would recommend to everybody today, look up the meaning of your name. See what it means in the Hebrew language. What does your name mean? Because we all have a purpose here on this earth. And so Kizia was the second child, and her name means cinnamon. Okay, cinnamon, cassia. Okay, and how many know there's so many benefits in the cinnamon? I believe that God was steady healing. He was able to see, oh my God, there's still something left on the inside of me. I still have seed. I still have promise. God didn't, it didn't dry up. You know, he felt that he was depleted. He was emptied out and depleted, only for God to restore him again. And as he began to bore a second child, and saw that it was growing again, that God was restoring everything that the devil stole away. Because you got some haters out there. They don't like it. And I'm not just talking about Satan the devil. Well, he uses his little imp devils and all those devils to get to those people when they're envious of you, when they're jealous, when they, they just they faking to be, they're fake. They want to pretend, they smile in your face, and all alone they want to take your place. Backstabbers, okay? But that's okay. And so, God showed them just how much he is for you. If God be for you, he is more than the whole world against you. So I believe that God was bringing back healing and just restoring their marriage again. Restoring, it can never replace what they lost. But just the fact that God did not close the womb, and there was still more room for growth and opportunity. All praises and glory be to God. And so the second child was called Corinne Hapach, which means horn of cosmetic beauty. I mean, cosmetic beauty, no one can touch. No one could compare. He was a unique man. He had them good genes. All I know is that she had to be a certain one type of strong woman for God to connect them and for them to become one and bear these beautiful children. I mean, like, just strikingly beautiful. And so her name meant cosmetic case. Just expounding on, she was so beautiful to where she didn't need makeup. It looked like she probably wore makeup. Her skin was flawless. She didn't have to contour. Everything was like on point. She didn't have to get her face beat. No one can beat her natural beauty, their natural beauty. And these were Job's children. I'm sorry, as I was speaking, my phone went dead, but God has brung it back to life, and he has revived my service. But I want to end this message by saying, don't give up on God, because God has not gave up on you. So just hold fast to your faith. I know it may seem hard and tough right now, but God is able to restore everything that you lost, and more. And things will get better. Thanks for watching and tuning in. And listen, I want to share with you guys my new book that I published back September 23rd, 2023 of this year. It is called Wow, Words of Wisdom, okay, from A to Z. It's inspirational daily messages on select topics where you will find motivation, receive, I pray, empowerment, and so much fruit. If you really, just tune it, if you just really check out the book. I have, it's Bible based. So there are biblical principles and scriptures to reference a lot of the daily readings in my book. God is doing great things. I know we may be going through, a lot of people may be going through tough times right now towards the end of the year, and it seems like things are drying up. But that's when God is able to show himself in the hard things. He is able to really show you that he is God and there is none like him, and he is able to do the impossible. What man can do, God is able to do. He masters in, miracles and mess. He can turn your mess and stress and bless you in ways that you never thought you would imagine. You can't even imagine. So please support my book. You can go to Amazon. I will put it in the description, and I pray that you guys continue to stay connected. Be blessed. Amen. Have a good day. Bye.